Goodbye dollar, hello Bitcoin. Today we're going to be talking about how the dollar will be losing its purchasing power like it has done for the last 100 years, and how Bitcoin is a good opportunity to look at your savings account in terms of Bitcoin instead of dollars. That's me personally. Maybe you're doing something else, but let's talk about that today.
Seen Ray Dalio's video, Principles of Dealing with the Changing World Order. He's talking about how reserve currencies, you had the Dutch, the British, the French, and then most recently it was the British, and then the US dollar came up. But you can see there ends up being money printing at the end, wealth gap, rising rival power. Now, China is rising, but if you look there at the reserve currency now, the US dollar is about 60%, the euro 20%, the Japanese yen about 5.5%, pound sterling about 5%, the Chinese RMB is about 2.7%. You can see that it wasn't really on there much 10 years ago. So it has grown, but it's still pretty small compared to the dollar. And so right now the dollar is still the best out of all the fiat currencies, but all these can print a lot, and it's hard not to print a lot. And if Chinese ever does rise up and really take over, they'll run into the same problem. But right now, most people don't really see the euro, the yen, the pound, or the RMB really being viable candidates to be the reserve currency. When you're the reserve currency, it comes with a lot of responsibility because you actually have a higher demand for your currency outside, and then you're also trying to have currency wars where you're making it so people still want to buy products from your country. And so right now, I said, okay, goodbye dollar, hello Bitcoin. So you can Bitcoin's 27,000. Well, you can see that the purchasing power of the dollar has decreased over time. Everyone knows that. Housing costs are rising. The economy does have a lot of money floating around. There's jobs. It's easier to get jobs, it seems like, than about ever. But with Bitcoin, you have a known inflation schedule of Bitcoin. And we're just a decade away from getting to where there's going to be less than 1% of Bitcoin going into circulation. So right now we're getting close to the 2024 halving, where 93.75% of the Bitcoin will be in circulation. And then by 2036, it's going to be over 99%. And it's known. It's all written in the code. It's all known. And with the dollar, we don't know when they're going to turn the dollar, printer back on. We don't know the schedule, and it depends on what they want to fund. Right here, you can see that the debt is 33.5 trillion and climbing. And so you can also see that Fidelity is reporting that a record share of Americans are rating their 401k plans due to hardship. So people are having to dig in there because everything's getting more expensive. So yeah, my business, we might have, in terms of dollar wise, we might have our best year ever, but so there's still things chugging along, things being built, but the cost of housing is going up, interest rates are going up. It's not the first time they've ever been 7.3%. My business partner was talking about once, like in the 70s, when he was hoping to get a loan on a house, and he was hoping that the interest rates would be under 10%. So it's not the first time in American history that interest rates have been this high, but they've been pretty low for about 40 years. And so the cost of housing is going up. It's almost doubled in the last 10 years. And you have people having tougher time, that they're having to dig into their savings, their 401ks. The grocery store is getting more expensive. And what's mind-boggling here is we got Paul Krugman, an economist, saying the war on inflation is over. We won at very little cost. And it shows that inflation went down. CPI excluding food, energy, shelter, and used cars. Which used cars is kind of weird, but food, energy, shelter might make up 50 to 80% of what people spend their money on. So he's basically saying if you take away everything that people spend their money on, inflation's going down. This is mind-boggling. And so the inclusion of food, shelter, and energy and used cars is misleading. So I think that it's kind of mind-boggling that this guy is an economist, and I don't know what kind of ulterior motive, but you can't exclude the things that everyone's spending their money on. And so I don't know what the future holds. A lot of people are very confident in whatever they believe in. To me, there's so many things we don't know that I'm confident in some things, but I don't know the time frame. I feel like they have no choice but to print more dollars, and at some point they're going to have to lower the interest rates. Otherwise, everything breaks. I don't know when that can be. Maybe that's sooner than later, or maybe that's later. But when you look at history, it rhymes. And when you have a superpower that overprints money and gets up large amounts of debt, it comes to an end at some point. And when you have a decentralized form of money, ownership, and property, digital property that has a known schedule that no one country, no one company owns, it's pretty cool. And so that's kind of my thesis.
In conclusion, when you look at all the different factors, how the dollar is the best out of all the other fiat currencies, but its days are numbered. I don't know when that is, but in terms of trying to preserve your wealth, I see a lot of people and a lot of wealthy people moving into Bitcoin in the future, and we'll see how it plays out. But when you have a lot of debt and you're reaching the end of your reserve currency status, you have no choice but to print a lot of money. So let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.